to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimbalo. It's good to be back on the program. And let's get to it, everyone. A few minutes ago, we watched as the new world champions in global football were crowned. The Alba Celeste, the Argentina national team, defeated the holders, France, to become the brand new FIFA world champions in world football. It is a story which began with Saudi Arabia beating them in their first game, a sad way to begin the tournament, where the likes of Lionel Messi is. But pardon me for talking about World Cup of football on the political program. I just want to draw a lesson here, everyone, which is going to be helpful for our nation. And that is the fact that no matter what you encounter, either a failed start to life or career, you still can pick up yourself and be great in the end. Failures don't define us as human beings. We can fall, but we can rise, and we can fight again and be the best of who we are destined to be. That goes for our dear nation, Nigeria, and its people. We're resilient. We're very talented people. We have seen what could be described as the worst that any human race can face. But we can pick up ourselves and still be the great country God has destined us to be. Messi inspiring Argentina to win the World Cup. We could equally elect a leader that will inspire this nation to greatness, and that is in February next year. We can do it. It is possible. And your role as a citizen is to play your role by picking up your PVC on election day and elect the best man for the job. You can do it, everyone. Nigeria can be great. Learn from Argentina. No matter the initial fall or faltering, you can still be the best you're destined to be. Nigeria will be great. I believe so, and strongly too. Let's get to it, everyone. Tonight, we'll begin our conversation with what is happening within the political corridor. And last few days, Monday, we saw that INEC began the distribution of permanent voter cards, which began a very interesting scenario in how voters can exercise their franchise. No PVC, no voting. And if you cannot vote, you cannot be part of the process. So INEC began that process. But since that started, we've been hearing about a series of stories on what politicians are doing, allegations and accusations of purchases of permanent voter cards. In the midst of all of this is also the fear about the different and series of attacks on INEC facilities and how this will impact on the election. President Muhammadu Buhari has said that he's given INEC everything that the commission will need or require to be able to prosecute this election freely, fairly, and credibly. Let me allow you to listen to some of the citizens who went out to collect their permanent voter cards, their experience at the different states that we cover here on Channels Television.
I arrived here very early, and when I came, they said they were taking names and then they will have to call us according to our ward. We have to stand according to our ward, and we've written down our names on the list. Now we've been here waiting since morning. The calling of the names is very slow, and they are not giving us any information.
Yeah, the experience is very, very, very tough because I'm here since yesterday. I didn't get my PVC, and I've been waiting to get my PVC. It's like the people that are working inside there, they are not much like that.
We here since 8 o'clock, some say 7 o'clock, but till now they have not collected. The government should do the needful by getting more hands. Maybe the ad hoc staff should be more employed, because they can have more hands for the palliative system or process to go on well.
I came here around 13 minutes after 12, and since then I've been standing here. I went there, the other time the PVC was in the other room. So I went there, they told me that I think the Benelli people are too much, so I should wait. Since then I've been waiting. People came here and they were ushered in, still keeping me here since.
There's no any challenge. I just went there with the slip given to me when I did my registration, and I was given my card. No much challenges. INEC are really trying.
The exercise is so boring. Yeah, it's so boring. If they don't have enough workers, they should be employed so that they fasten this thing. Somebody cannot just leave his house, come and stay hours, whether you have other things you're supposed to be doing at home. And it's a pity. There are a lot of things they need to do. Let them put things correctly.
All right, you heard Nigerians, their experiences in collecting their permanent voter cards. Is it true that politicians are now purchasing permanent voter cards? What would they do with it? Is that going to jeopardize our election? The talks about vote buying and preparations by some politicians to do this, what are the issues? Let's get to talk about it. Mr. Festus Okoye is INEC National Commissioner on Voter Education, is here with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Let's touch on this issue of permanent voter cards purchase before we go into, because that is getting a lot of Nigerians worried. Have you heard about it?
Yes, I have.
Have you been able to verify it as a commission?
No.
Do you think it's possible for someone to purchase and use the PVCs for election?
Well, there are two possibilities here. The first possibility is for you to dispossess someone of his or her PVC and get the person not to vote. In other words, you are engaged in voter suppression. And if you purchase somebody's PVC and the person does not vote, what that means is that one vote is out. So you are suppressing the votes in that particular constituency. So that is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that I think that some politicians are very, very optimistic. They normally plan for the rainy day. They are still thinking that there's a possibility that they can beat the beavers that we are going to use for voter accreditation and authentication. But I believe that that exercise will be an exercise in futility. Anybody who is purchasing a permanent voter's card is just engaged in an exercise in futility. The only thing the person can do with a permanent voter's card is to make sure that the owner does not vote on election day. But for you to come to the polling unit on election day with a permanent voter's card belonging to someone else and you attempt to vote with it, it is next to impossibility. The beavers will not capture your fingerprints. The beavers will not capture your facials.
And you've said that there won't be incident forms.
There is no, we have retired the incident forms, and the incident forms will not return anymore in our electoral process.
So in this case that a card reading machine and the accreditation reading device, which is the beavers, should it fail at a point of voting or accreditation in that polling unit, the Electoral Act has provided what should be done. The election might be cancelled and done the following day. Is that what is going to happen?
Well, what we have done as an electoral management body is to provide for the use of the beavers in the 176,846 polling units in Nigeria. We have also provided for what we call redundancies in the 8,809 registration areas or electoral wards. So for each electoral ward, we are going to have some spare beavers that can be deployed speedily if there's any issue or any challenge in any of the polling units. And we are training our registration area technical support staff that can also intervene if there's any challenge with the beavers. But if there's what we call sustained malfunction of the beavers up to the time of the closing of the poll, the Electoral Act demands that we should undermine the voting in that particular process and repeat the voting within a period of 24 hours.
So if the beavers fail to work, you will deploy. But if that fails us, you will deploy personnel to fix it or get a spare. If that fails to work, then you have to do it the following day.
Definitely, yes.
Now, for those who are planning or who are already purchasing and collecting the PVCs from voters, some of the fears, and I'm going to say this because I relate with politicians a lot, and I know some of the things that they say is that there are voting points that are within the areas of some political bigwigs and who are bent on winning an election. For example, I mean, there are at some point where INEC said, in fact, there are polling units that are placed in the shrine, some placed in, you know, in very funny places, palaces and in homes and frontage of the compounds of some political party bigwigs and all of that. These are the plans that, if it's collected within that area, they can coordinate and make sure that they win that area because they have purchased it and they're going to distribute it for them. There are different plans. And, you know, what we have seen over the last few years in our electoral process is the fact that as soon as INEC makes a policy, politicians will find a way around it just to you know, circumvent the process. So what are the thinking of INEC in this respect? How are you able to monitor that people who are trying to subvert the process by purchasing this, they are not stupid for purchasing it. They have their reasons and they know how they want to use it.
Protecting the electoral space, protecting the electoral ecosystem is a shared responsibility. And as the chairman normally points out, it is a multi-stakeholder venture. Now, during the time we converted our polling, voting points and voting point settlements into full-fledged polling units, we also removed polling units that are located in places that we consider inappropriate. We removed polling units from the palaces of traditional rulers. We removed polling units that are near the homes of politicians. We removed polling units that are in shrines. We also removed polling units that are in places we consider not conducive for electoral business. So we have removed all those polling units. Now, for the political parties, the law obligates them to nominate polling agents for all the polling units in Nigeria and all the registration areas in Nigeria, including the local governments. So every political party that is registered in Nigeria that has sponsored candidates in this election has the right to deploy polling agents to all the polling units in Nigeria, especially to guard what goes on in those places. But the Nigerian people must also be very, very vigilant in terms of mandate protection and guard the polling units to protect their mandate. But in terms of any politician bypassing the beavers, I want to tell you that that will not happen, and that is next to impossibility, because at the end of polling, at the end of voting in every polling unit, the polling unit level result will be entered into from EC8A, which is the polling unit level result, and transmitted directly to our INEC result viewing portal. Not only that, the accreditation data for that particular polling unit must also be transmitted electronically to our INEC result viewing portal. So at the end of the day, it is a combination of all these things that will be used for purposes of collation of results, especially at the registration areas. So those who are buying up PVCs, as far as I'm concerned, they are engaged in an exercise in futility. They can only suppress the votes. But in terms of bringing the polling units to the bringing the PVC to the polling units and getting people to vote with those PVCs, it is not possible.
You heard how much they are buying it. 2,000 naira per PVC, and some leaders in the north have they've raised these alarm, and they've asked the president. Serap was writing to the president today to arrest those who are doing this. Can INEC make a move in this respect? I mean, security agencies, can they move in this direction and arrest culprits or those who are found doing this?
Oh, definitely. It's an electoral offense to be found in possession of PVC that does not belong to you. And in Sokoto State, those who were found with, someone who was found with a PVC that does not belong to him, we moved quickly, liaised with the police, and then the individual was charged to court and convicted. The same thing also happened in Kano State, where some individuals were found with PVCs that does not belong to them. And they were promptly arrested, charged to court, and they were also convicted and sentenced to, I think, 2 years imprisonment. So if any individual is found to be in possession of PVC that does not belong to him or her, or to be found to be buying up PVCs for one malicious activity or the other, the security agencies have a responsibility to go after such individuals, apprehend them, and then proceed against them.
Okay, let's go into the permanent voter cards. How What is INEC planning to do to ease the pains? You heard some of the agitations of some people who say, look, they've been there all day. They left their jobs and they've gone to queue up. What can you do to ease the pains of Nigerians? I know that in the first 3 days of the collection, INEC got a lot. I'm very sure that you didn't expect the kind of crowd that you saw at your offices.
I will only counsel patience. I will only counsel understanding of the Nigerian people in relation to this matter. We drafted and approved the standard operating procedure for PVC collection. And we have spaced out the period for the collection of PVCs. We started on the 12th day of December 2022, and we end on the 22nd day of January 2023. And we have also made it very clear that on the 6th day of January 2023, we are going to deploy to the various registration areas or electoral wards. And we have 8,809 electoral wards in this country. And our officers will remain there up to the 15th day of January before they return to the various local government areas. So all individuals in Nigeria cannot collect their permanent voters' cards the same day. Moreover, there are basically 3 challenges we have noticed. One, those who engage in multiple and double registration also approached our various local government areas wanting to collect their cards. And when their cards were not readily available, when their cards were not given to them, some of them started making trouble. The second is that there are also some persons who did transfer. Now, the process of transfer is completely different. When we are doing voters registration, continuous voters registration exercise, and also carrying out transfers, and also trying to replace the PVCs of those whose PVCs were damaged or defaced and so on, we made it very clear that you can go to our website and carry out that business, that you can also approach any of our registration centers, any of the local government areas, anywhere in the country, and do that. But when you choose a polling unit or a local government or a registration area where you intend to vote in the election, it is that state and that local government and that registration area that we are going to forward your card to, because you are transferring from Lagos, for instance, to Kaduna. And if you have chosen Kaduna and Kaduna not local government as the place where, as your local government of preference, where your registration area is situated and where your polling unit is situated, your card will be in Kaduna, not in Lagos, where you carried out the transfer. So these are some of the challenges we are encountering.
These are some of the issues that people have raised, and I probably want to borrow some, I want to give some advice to INEC, free of charge. You don't have to pay for this one. And one of the things, like some customer service-oriented activities look like, when you give out your item to some businesses, when they are ready with it, they will text you and say, oh, Mr. Festus Okoye, your item is ready on Monday, the 19th of December for collection. Please show up at our office at 10 a.m. That's an appointment scheduling that has been done. Is it possible with INEC having conversation with telecommunication companies, and you can do this digitally on the computer by scheduling people and saying, we are going to give out to 100 people today, and you schedule these people, and in any case, people are registered and their telephone numbers are also part of their registration. Is it possible INEC can think about this innovation, because you have a short window, it's just about a month for the collection?
I completely agree with you. Now, for those who registered during the continuous voters registration exercise, we try to collect their telephone numbers and their email addresses. And we've scheduled a process and a procedure to alert them on where their PVCs are and when they can collect them. But for those who registered from 2011 to the 2019 general election, who did not supply their telephone numbers and so on, what we have done is that we are harvesting their telephone numbers from their cards, and then we are bringing them to the headquarters and also trying to see those we can contact via telephone.
I think you can also relate with civil society organizations to help you out. They can get hard work people to help you in, especially in places that are densely populated. I mean, you need to find a strategy, because people are agitated, people are frustrated. And if INEC is not going to do this on the weekend, then during the week, people have to leave their businesses to go and collect their permanent voter card. You have to make it easy for Nigerians, or easier for Nigerians to be able to do. Are you promising Nigerians to do that?
Yes, some of these teething challenges will become a thing of the past in the next few days, because we are already in liaison with civil society groups and organizations, and they have offered various services. Some of them have offered to also deploy their personnel to control the queue. Some of them have also offered various types of services, and we are harnessing all these services in order to also make sure that we impute them into the collection process. These teething challenges will become a thing of the past in the next few days, because we are going to deploy more personnel, and we're also going to make sure that national commissioners take charge of this particular process, and also make sure that the electoral officers follow our standard operating procedure for PVC collection.
I'm worried a bit, Mr. Okoye, based on the data that INEC has released. In 2019, you had attacks on your facilities and infrastructure in 4 states with 8 incidents. And these are mostly arson and destruction of your materials and your infrastructure. In 2020, it rose from 4 states to 9 states. This time around, 22 incidents. Now, in 2001, it went from 8 states, down a bit to, 9 states from 2020 to 2021. It went to 7 states, but 12 incidents. Yes. In 2022, we have seen 5 states impacted with 8 incidents. Altogether, 15 states, 50 incidents in 4 years. This is a sad scenario. As INEC be able to figure out what exactly is going on, why these attacks on your facilities? Are they linked to a group of people, or are these just staggered or just isolated incident? Have you been able to get information or intelligence in this respect?
Some of the attacks, especially the ones we recorded in 2022, are systematic and are targeted at disrupting the electoral process. But some of the previous attacks, some of them are not related to any electoral activity whatsoever. And as you know, the Commission has offices in the 704 local government areas of Nigeria. And these are national assets. These are assets that belong to the Nigerian people. And because they are national assets, and in some local governments, that's the only outstanding federal government facility that you can see. So sometimes it's just misplaced aggression and misplaced against facilities of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
So you don't think that this is, you think that this is isolated? It's not by maybe one group of people?
No. For instance, during the NSAS protest, some of our offices were attacked, and we know what the issues are and what the issues were during that particular period. But you know, the good thing about some of these issues are, in some of the communities where some of our offices were attacked, the communities offered to rebuild some of these facilities, and they did rebuild some of these facilities. So there were some of the attacks that are related, that are election related, and some of the attacks that are not election related. But the attacks that we have experienced in 2022, as we are building up to the 2023 general election, are politically motivated and definitely aimed at crippling the preparations of the Commission from getting organized for the 2023 general election.
If you look at out of the 50 states, most or out of the 15 states that has experienced these attacks, you will see that nearly all the states in the southeast have been impacted. In all, there are 5 states in the southeast region. Out of the 15 states that have experienced these attacks in the last 4 years, if you look at it, 50 incidents in all, but if you count the number of incidents in the southeast is more than any region of the country. Could there be a reason to this effect?
Well, the commission is not in a position to begin to give reasons for some of these attacks. The responsibility for investigation rests with the various security agencies, and some of the security agencies have carried out their investigation. You had the Deputy Inspector General of Police at the public hearing in the House of Representatives saying that some of these attacks are politically motivated, that some of the attacks are coordinated and engineered by political forces for one reason or the other. But as far as the commission is concerned, we are assiduously preparing for the conduct of the 2023 general election. We are not a political party. We are not politically aligned with any of the tendencies. And we believe that those who are engaged in these attacks should leave the commission alone to prepare for the conduct of the 2023 general election. Because if these attacks continue up till next year, it's going to pose a grave danger to electoral business and electoral continuity. And the commission does not want a situation where we are going to get into a constitutional crisis because of attacks on our facilities.
Out of 50 incidents, Mr. Okoye, and yes, I'm coming back to you, 27 out of it are from the 5 states of the Southeast.
Yes.
Is that worrisome? I mean, does that give you bother about the conduct of election? Some political parties have not even been able to deploy or mobilize in their campaigns to the Southeast region because of the sit at home and some other incident. And you have also attributed 20 of the 50 of those incidents to ongoing gunmen and hoodlums in that region.
Well, I think that what we have in the country as of today is what I call a fluid political situation. The specter of insecurity in different parts of the country has its own colors. The specter of insecurity we have in the Southeast has a different coloration than from the specter of insecurity we have in the Northwest, in the North Central, in the Northeast, and so on. And so we have tendencies and different brands of insecurity.
You know what I'm asking the question?
I understand where you are going.
No, it's not where I'm going. It's the question I'm asking.
Yes.
Because we need to practically deal with this problem.
Yes.
Where we have insurgency and where we have banditry dominating those areas, we've had less than 10 incidents in 4 years. In areas where there are none of these high level of violence and insecurity, we have seen higher tendency of and we have 27 in 5 states of the Southeast, and 20 of those 27 incidents are banditry. I mean, unknown gunmen and hoodlums. And that's why I'm asking, this is not a good sign for February next year. Is INEC able to get the commitment of the security agencies to douse the tension going into the election?
Well, we have assurances from the various security agencies that they have the capacity and capability to secure the nation ahead of the 2023 general election. It is the wish of the commission to conduct election in every polling unit, in every registration area, in every local government, and in every state. This is because the threshold for making a declaration in relation to a presidential election, in relation to governorship election, and also in relation to the different stratas of election, has to be met. And for you to be declared as the governor of a state, you must secure the highest number of votes cast in the state, and also a quarter of the votes cast in 2/3 of all the local government areas of the state. So if in a particular state you are unable to conduct election in half of the local governments, definitely it will impact on the conduct of election.
Because the inference is that the people who are attacking your facilities do not want election in their own area. I mean, that is an interpretation that people are the target, or the agenda of some of these people is that they do not want election to happen in that part of the country. But let's quickly end this. I have about 2 or 3 questions, and I have less than about a minute and a half. In Osun State is this one single state that has the highest number of incidents, 7 incidents in 4 years. Could there be a reason for that?
Well, in Osun State, some of our facilities, some of our local government offices were attacked twice. And then in a place like Imo, our local government area office was also attacked twice. So some of these things we said, we've made it very clear, targeted at making sure that we do not organize and organize well, and also making sure that we don't conduct a very good election in some of those places.
I have just about 2 questions more. Quickly, Youth Party won a Supreme Court case. Why has it been difficult for INEC to recognize them?
I'm not aware of the issues.
But are you aware of the Supreme Court judgment?
Recently or previously?
Just about a week or thereabout, or 2 weeks ago?
I don't have any information relating to that.
Because there are candidates in some states. I know of Abia. I know for another state, I think in Lagos, a few of the candidates are already agitated, saying that INEC is not recognizing, despite the fact that Supreme Court, the apex court in the land, has recognized that the deregistration of that party is illegal and unlawful.
I don't have information relating to that.
But would you consider that and you deal with the matter?
Oh, definitely. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. And when the Supreme Court gives a judgment or makes a decision, it's final.
All right. On a final note, Mr. Okoye, the president said INEC does not have any excuse to ensure that this election goes well. That he has given you everything needed. And I'm saying it right in front of the Nigerian people tonight. We are holding INEC responsible. Is there anything that the federal government needs to give you that they are not giving you? Nigerians will not take any excuse for logistic problem or any other problem. The president has come out to say, no excuse. INEC has been giving everything they require to make sure that this election goes successfully. True or false?
Our commitment is to the people of this country. We are committed to the conduct of free, fair, transparent, and inclusive election. And we are working hard and assiduously to make sure that we give Nigerians the best election ever. And that is our commitment to the people of this country, and we are not going to fail.
Can you confirm to us that what the president said is right, that INEC has everything that it needs to conduct this election?
We have not complained to the National Assembly, and we have not complained to the Nigerian people that we are not prepared.
You know the reason why I'm asking the question,
I'm coming.
In 2019, the silence of your commission when you, in the face of logistics and money problem, was one of the problems. The Nigerians will not take that kind of incident again.
The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has promised the people of this country that under his watch, no election will be postponed or rescheduled on account of logistics or logistic challenges. And we are committed to that.
No complaint, you have everything you need. Is that true?
As of today, we have the full complement of the things we need to prosecute the election.
That's what the commitment I want from you. Thank you so much. Nigerians are serious about this election, and they won't take no for an answer.
The conduct of election is a multi-stakeholder venture. It's a shared responsibility, and we are not going to fail in our own responsibility.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye. Stay with me for a moment, because we'll take a break. And when we come back, our attention will be on the central bank. There are allegations that the policy of the central bank is to impact on the general election. How true is that? Is the CBN watching tonight? Is it true that what they are doing is for political reasons? We hear the site, and we get one of the senators who spoke on the floor of the Senate in the past few days, Senator Mohammed Bukachua. He will join us live on the program in another few minutes. The central bank new policies have been met with stiff opposition and rejections in some quarters. And officially, a few days ago, the newly redesigned notes came into circulation. And then the Apex Bank came up with yet another policy on the limitation on daily spendings by individuals and corporate organizations. In the Senate, in the past few days, there was some reservation. And I'd like you to take a listen to Senator Bukachua when he was raising an objection on the policy of the central bank on the limitation of cash that could be spent by individuals or corporate bodies in a day. Take a listen to him.
Every day as I sit here in this chamber, I have every day not less than 100 people, laborers working on my farm, and they have to be paid by 5 o'clock. Cash, of course. They don't possess POS. They don't have bank accounts. The last UBA branch in my constituency was closed 6 years ago.
That's Senator Bukochuwa's initial statement there. We'll be speaking with him much later. Senator Seriake Dixon spoke at length, and he made some inferences on the implications of the policy and perhaps the reasons why the CBN is taking that stand. Take a listen to the former governor of Bayelsa State.
Because you have a national election coming up, because you have not sufficiently dealt with other challenges of insecurity, for example, for now, I think all attention, all focus, security agencies, the CBN, everybody, the political leadership should be geared towards ensuring the conduct of a smooth, fair and free election, the outcome of which should be acceptable to Nigerians. An election that should not be based on tribe and religion, an election that will not polarize our already divided country further. These are things agitating the minds of some people, some of us who mean well for our country. And this, therefore, is not the time, in my view, to rush into the implementation of a policy that the CBN deputy governor has admitted that they had cost to shift 3 times. And if in 7 years of an administration, if in 10 years of the muting of a policy, you have had cause to shift it 3 times, then you think the best time to introduce it and implement it with finality is when you are preparing for a general election? When you have a nation that is grappling with security challenges? When citizens are already angry and hungry? There's too much anger and division in the land. And I feel, in the national interest, the policy is, for me, it makes sense. We are not opposed to the policy. Let's be clear about it. We are talking of fine-tuning our various systems before implementation.
Let's now speak with Senator Adamu Muhammad Bukochuwa, who is live with us on the program from Abuja, his residence. Thank you so much, Senator. I'd like to ask some very quick and direct questions. First and foremost, Senator, do you think that a CBN policy is largely political?
Well, I think it looks so. Even if they say it's not, but it looks so, because I have never been in a situation whereby during election and electioneering campaigns, where people are subjected to a situation where they cannot even buy fuel for the cars they take on campaigns, because if you can't take more than 20,000 in a week, how do you finance, how do you pay for the fuel and the supporters that accompany you, and how do you give them some subsistence to eat on that afternoon, and how do you pay the owners of the vehicle that convey those supporters to your various campaign grounds? So it will affect the polity, definitely. And I think even if the central bank bring forth arguments that it has nothing to do with politics, but the indications are that it will affect the polity more than
your colleague, Senator Dixon, you heard his objection to that policy, and he thinks that the timing is suspect. Do you also have a feeling that there must be an agenda behind CBN coming up with this policy at this time? If they have tried to do it a few times, why are they doing it now? Do you have more fact that you can tell us based on what they explained to the Senate?
Well, I think based on what they have explained, they said this practice, cashless policy, has been on for the last 10 years or so. But in reality, it has been on only in 6 states of the Federation. But then why, at the eve of an election, a general election for that matter, would the central bank say, instead of extending it maybe to 10 states, says it's nationwide. And nationwide has serious implications because the election itself is nationwide. So how do you reason that it will not affect the election, or how do you explain that it has nothing to do with the elections? Now, we are rural people. Most of us, most of the politicians are rural people. And we engage mostly in agriculture and petty trade. And petty trade means attending market days of towns and villages. And in those markets, you don't go there with POS. You go there to buy things, mundane things like chicken, like beans, like peanuts, like ordinary things like yam and the rest of it. And then you can't dispossess the owner of a chicken, his chicken, and then tell him, I have sent your money to an unknown address, because he has no bank account. And if you say, well, there is somebody with POS who will send it to you later, he will not accept, because he needs to see his money in his hands.
Senator, if I may cut in quickly, apologies, and I'd like to ask this. The opposition party in
yes,
some quarters are already saying this is targeted at the opposition to impact on the plans that maybe, according to them, that the ruling party is jittery. These are some of the talks going on within the rank and file of the opposition party. Is there any truth in that statement?
Well, I wouldn't say absolutely that there is truth, but what I can say is that, like I said, the meaning or the intention may be different, but what it would look like in practice is like that. And I know many electorates are angry and they are not happy with this situation. So how else can you explain to them and to make sure that you have pat them on the back to ease up their anger? How would you do that when you have not modified or extended the limits which the Senate, in actual fact, has written to the central bank to do in order to ease the
Senator,
limitations
I'll
and the
cut in quickly again.
That local
let me say this, because this will actually is directed at you and your colleagues in the National Assembly, because you are lawmakers. For something that has been described as breaking of the law by the CBN, by some senior lawyers in the land, and they are making reference to how can the lawmakers watch and our laws are being broken by the CBN, and this is a premise on which they have held that grounds. One, they're saying in the Section 2 of the Money Laundering Act that the action of the Apex Bank is illegal. And now they're saying that since the Money Laundering Act of 2022 fixed the maximum cash withdrawal to 5 million naira for individuals and 10 million naira for corporate body, that if that law has not been amended, that whatever decision the CBN has taken is unlawful. And the accusation is that why will lawmakers allow these to go on when you know what the law says and it has not been amended?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the National Assembly has already passed a law governing the conduct of the central bank and how they carry on their activities. And that law allows them to adjust all these limitations. And if you remember, the central bank said they asked for the executive approval from Mr. President before they announced and started implementing these limits. So the National Assembly is left with no choice except to go back to the original law. We have the power to amend the law and now make it difficult or even impossible for central bank to do what they are doing now. But the trick there is that we are short of time. We are short of time because according to central bank and according to the previous laws, this action will be legal as from 31st of January. Now, I am not sure if we go by the procedures that we follow to enact or change laws and amend laws, we can do this and finish before the 31st of January. Because don't forget that we are mandated to go on break, on recess for Christmas and for New Year. And then before we do all that, we want to make sure that we have passed the 2023 budget for Mr. President to sign and make it legal and effective by 1st
Senator
of
Adamu
January.
Mohammed Bokochua, sitting senator in the National Assembly. Thank you so much indeed for your thought. We'll be monitoring and looking at how the scenario pans out in the National Assembly. Thank you so much sincerely for talking to us. Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m.